Good morning. In this online class, I would like to do a quick revision on case study Bhopal gas tragedy. Okay? For your information, part C questions may be case study questions. In April-May 2018, November-December 2019 examinations, case study questions were asked. Please check the question paper. In November-December 2015, in Part B section, in section Part B, case studies were asked. Okay? Please see that question paper, how the questions are asked. For your information, most of the standard books discuss some well-known disaster, tragedy, accident like Bhopal gas tragedy, Challenger disaster, Chernobyl disaster, 3 Mile Island TMI accident. But not necessarily these well-known, very popular disaster or tragedy accidents can be asked. Not necessarily. Other than this well-known disaster, tragedy, accidents, any other disaster, any general case studies might be asked. So you have to prepare accordingly. Okay? So we already discussed all these case studies, all these popular, well-known case studies in detail in the class itself, right? Course materials, that is slides, case studies materials have been given to you all. Please go through them and study in detail. Here, let us have a quick revision on case study Bhopal gas tragedy. Generally, you have to explain the tragedy, the disaster, accident first. Then you have to discuss violation of moral, ethical, and professional code of standards in the tragedy. Also, you have to give a conclusion to avoid such tragedy in future. Generally, the question so like that. So you have to explain the tragedy, you have to discuss the violation and also give the conclusion. Might be in this order, might be. So based on that only you have to give your case study answer. Okay, now we'll see. See in this slide. Bhopal gas tragedy is explained in briefly here. You check with my course material. I give the elaborate explanation and description there. Okay? Okay, now see here. Bhopal's gas tragedy is the world's worst industrial disaster that occurred in 1984 due to the gas leakage from a pesticide production plant, that is the Union Carbide India Limited, located in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. It was believed that slack management and deferred maintenance together created a situation where routine pipe maintenance caused a backflow of water into the methyl isocyanate MIC tank, triggering the disaster. In the early hours of December 3rd, 1984, a rolling wind carried a poisonous grey cloud from the Union Carbide plant in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh of India. The poisonous gas released was 40 tons of methyl isocyanate MIC. This particular gas is very toxic that leaked and spread throughout the city. Among them, 500,000, that is 5 lakh people exposed to the gas, 20,000 people have died till date, and 120,000, that is 1.2 lakhs, continue to suffer devastating health effects as a result of their exposure. Actually, from these slides, you know that the Bhopal gas tragedy occurred on December 3rd, 1984 in the early hours. The poisonous gas released was 40 tons of MIC, that is methyl isocyanate. The gas is very toxic. It leaked and spread throughout the city. People are mostly in the sleep, early morning, early hours. So in the sleep. So nearly 500,000 people exposed to the gas. So immediately many people died. So until the date, 20,000 people died. Still, 1.2 lakhs people continue to suffer devastating health effects as a result of their exposure. This figure statistic is more or less okay, then it is approximate. Okay. Effects on human health, isn't it? Because the gas leaked, so many people died. But some people, the previous slide saw, continue to suffer devastating health effects as a result of their exposure. So what are the effects on human health? Respiratory disorders, cancer hazard, reproductive hazard. Traces of many toxins were found in the breast milk of mothers, were in turn transmitted to the recipient babies, like that. And this type of effects, so still continue. Methyl isocyanate, the physical and chemical characteristic of MIC, methyl isocyanate. It is C2H3NO, so chemical name, methyl isocyanate. Liquid form, volatile, colorless, strong, sharp odor, flash point -7 degrees centigrade, molecular weight 57.05 daltons, boiling point 102 degree Fahrenheit, freezing point -49 degree Fahrenheit, vapor pressure 348 mmHg at 68 degree Fahrenheit, vapor density 1.42, water solubility reactive 6.7% at 68 degree Fahrenheit, flammability highly flammable range 5.3% to 26%, concentration in air. These are the physical and chemical characteristics of MIC. At least he knows some points, some characteristic of the MIC. Okay. So this we can consider, until that characteristic we can consider the first part. So in some time if you are asked to explain the tragedy in detail, you have to explain in detail. Maybe these slides contain a brief, but you please check with my course materials. In that one, elaborate explanation and narration of the tragedy is given. So please go through it. Okay, now we'll take the second part. Consider the second part, or until here we can say first part, then we take the next part will be the violation of moral, ethical and professional codes of standards in the tragedy. So here I am giving the heading, humility effect of following factor caused the tragedy in Bhopal. What are they? Number one, maintenance was neglected and trained maintenance personnel were reduced as economy measure. Need for quick diagnosis aggravates the situation by causing considerable psychological stress on the plant personnel. Number two, training activities for the supervisory personnel were stopped. This led to inadequate training of the personnel to handle emergencies. 3. Periodical safety inspection teams from US which visited previously were also stopped. From the initial US standard, the safety procedures were reduced to low-level Indian standards. 4. Vital spares for equipments and machineries were not available. 5. Absence of capital replacement led to the stagnant economy of the plant. 6. High turnover of the experienced engineers and technicians who were demoralized by the lack of development. 7. Lack of experienced personnel to operate and control the vital installations. 8. They have not conducted a thorough process hazard analysis that would have exposed the serious hazards which resulted in disaster later. 9. No emergency plan was put in practice during the shutdown and maintenance. 10. There were no effective public warnings of the disaster. 11. Most workers, according to many employees, panicked as the gas escaped, running away to save their own lives and ignoring buses that sat idle on the plant grounds, ready to evacuate nearby residents. 12. Above all, the commitment of top-level management to safety was lagging. They have been paying only lip service to safety of people of the host country. These are the by and large violation of moral and ethical code of standards in the tragedy. Please go through the case study material which I gave already. So in that one, you can find the more detailed narration of the Bhopal gas tragedy in this regard. Okay. Then moving to next slide. Technologically, the tragedy was caused by a series of events listed. We can say it is the violation of professional codes of standards in the tragedy. So mostly it is a violation of technical procedure. Number 1, Safety Manual of Union Carbide prescribed that MIC tanks were to be filled only up to 60% of the capacity, but the tanks were reported to have been filled up to 75%. Number 2, the safety policy prescribed that an empty tank should be available as standby in case of emergency, but the emergency tank also filled to its full capacity. These facts confirmed that MNC had not followed and implemented appropriate safety standards of the home country in the host country. Can this be called as an example of misappropriate technology? The storage tanks should be refrigerated to make the chemical less reactive. But here the refrigeration system was Shutdown as an economy measure. This raised the temperature of the gas stored. Number 4. The plant was shut down for maintenance 2 months earlier. The worker who cleaned the pipes, and filters connected to the tanks and closed the valves was not trained properly. He did not insert the safety disc to prevent any possible leakage of the gas. This led to build-up of temperature and pressure in the storage tank. When the gas started leaking out, the operator tried to use the vent gas scraper that was designed to reduce the exhausting gas. But the scraper also shut down. There was a flare tower that was designed to burn off the gas escaping from the scraper. That was not also in working condition. So point number 7, the workers finally tried to spray water up to 100 feet to quench the gas, which is water soluble. But the gas was escaping from the chimney of 120 feet high. Point number 8, workers were not trained on safety drills or emergency drills or any evacuation plans. Okay, I'm moving to next slide. So next slide is conclusion. Here we have to give a conclusion. We have to write a conclusion to avoid such tragedy in future. In the previous slides, we discussed about the violation of the moral, ethical and professional codes of standard and the tragedy. So from that, we observe certain things, how to avoid such tragedy in future. So here I listed out some points. Proper maintenance is to be considered in the industry. Sufficient number of trained maintenance personnel ought to be employed. Trained activities for the supervisory personnel should continue in order to handle the emergencies. Periodical safety inspection team should visit the industrial sites to check whether the stipulated safety procedures are maintained. There should be proper management systems and procedure to ensure safety. Vital spares for equipments and machinery should be available. There should be capital replacement that leads to the economic growth of the plant. The experienced engineers, technicians should be motivated by proper development. There should be sufficient number of experienced personnel to operate and control the vital installations. Industries should conduct a thorough process hazards analysis that would have exposed the serious hazards which resulted in disaster later. Proper emergency plan is to be put in practice during the shutdown and maintenance. Above all, the commitment of top level management to safety should be more. Okay. So these are some relevant points to avoid such tragedy in future. You can add some more because these are the one kind of view. Okay. So now for this type of case studies questions, I just give you a general format only in this video. I just give you a general view or observation format in this video. But you can add your views, observations, technical points, and any other violation of moral, ethical, and professional codes of standards in this tragedy. You can use appropriate terms, concepts, principles, relevant points which you learn from all 5 units of professional ethics in engineering subject. So you can add relevant points, write nicely. So that one, make it a case study, readable and nice one. Okay, thank you, all the best, bye.